My name is Shayla, and I love working and and using doTERRA essential oils, and I love sharing all of my knowledge and my experience that I've had with them, which is not a whole lot, but I feel it is informational as to explain some of the things that I use the essential oils for and how I use them and why I use them in my daily life. And I'm going to go ahead and share a link to a Google form. Just share that on the chat. So where if you have any questions, you can type into the chat and I can maybe answer them at the end, or if you go click on this Google form, it gives me a little bit more information, and you can also, there's a spot where you can type in anything you want to know more about, and I can maybe touch on it in my next webinar or in a class that I have that's coming up. So I'm going to get started. I use essential oils for lots of different reasons. And I only use the doTERRA essential oils. Here's one of them that I use often right now. It's Whisper, and I'll talk about that. But I did not get into essential oils for emotional use. I got into them for helping with pain when I run with my knee. And I guess I bought the Peace Oil, which was... I did buy the Peace Oil, which I thought would be good to diffuse in my home at the time because there was quite a bit of chaos going on in my house. And I needed to bring some peace into it. And then I also wanted to diffuse it in the classroom as well. So I did kind of touch into it just unknowingly, naively, touched into using the essential oils for emotions and things like that. But I wasn't fully aware of what the essential oils really do to our brain that helps us with these emotions. And that's what I want to get into and talk about tonight. To start, our emotions are governed in the limbic system part of our brain. And the limbic system feeds into our hippocampus, which holds our memories. And then it also the hippocampus feeds into the amygdala part of our brain, which is our fight, flight, or freeze part of our brain. They're the part of the brain that keeps us safe in extreme emergency situations. And as I explained to my kids in my classroom, sometimes our brain has undergone so much trauma or so much stress that hippocampus can no longer keep our amygdala safe. And our amygdala is in constant working mode. It is in constant must be safe mode. And these oils, ideally, and the way that they work with our brain is that they heal and they replace these feelings of unsafeness. And the way that they do that, I'm going to share. So again, our emotions are governed by the limbic system. The limbic system in our brain is the oldest part of the brain. And it's where our feelings of depression, fear, anger, happiness, joy, and anxiety, like all of our feelings, all of everything that we feel is originated in that limbic lobe. And the only way to stimulate that part of the brain, that emotional brain, is through our sense of smell. So that's how these essential oils help to heal that. Essential oils assist in the healing of the physical body along with healing the heart. And then there are certain stages that a person would go through in healing their emotions through the essential oils. And I get a lot of my information just based on the my professional development that I do for my own education, my own classroom. And then also I get a lot of the emotions and things from this lovely, amazing book called Emotions and Essential Oils. And so a lot of what I talk about is going to be from this book, but then also based on what I've learned over the years working with children with emotional disturbance and behavior disorders and things of that stuff nature. So when our heart needs to heal, the oils are providing us with the energy needed to penetrate the heart and enter the emotional realm. One of my very recent stories is I had undergone a very, very, very traumatic event in my life, and I was overcome with sadness and abandonment, and from someone that I love very, very much. And it was very out of the blue, very, I mean, unexpected. And I felt like what I would assume someone feels like when they are very depressed. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't really move. Like I was just paralyzed, it felt. And for a good couple hours at least, like after the initial shock of what had happened, I, as I'm laying there and as I'm thinking about everything that had just happened, I started to crave geranium. And I know it sounds kind of random, but I did. And I remembered that there was this oil blend that I had been given, and it had geranium in it. And I started to, it was an oil blend that was put into a bottle like this that had geranium, it had ylang ylang in it, it had some other oils in it, but it was mixed with some coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil. And so I rubbed this on the back of my neck. I took the cap off and I was diffusing it in the diffuser. I was rubbing it on my wrists, on the inside of my wrists. I probably even rubbed it in my palm, squirted some lotion, and just tried, rubbing it all over, trying to just get that geranium into my body. And it was till later when I was reading about geranium and the emotions that it correlates with, when I read, I'm trying to find my notes where I had wrote it down. Find it real quick. Geranium is the oil of love and trust, and it's the positive properties of it is emotional healing. And the negative emotions that it targets are abandonment, loss, distrust, unforgiving, unloving, heavy-hearted, grief. And those were everything that I was feeling. And so my body knew that I needed this geranium in order to heal. And to believe it or not, like it got me out of bed. Like it got me to take a shower. And then the next step, like I said, after the shower, after diffusing it in the diffuser in my shower, my next step was to put it on my body, like get it into my pores, get it into my cells, and get me through the next 30 minutes and then the next hour and then so on and so forth. And I mean, that right there tells me that it's healing, like it's healing something in order to process those feelings that need to be had and release and get rid of those toxins, because that's what oils help do. They help get rid of the toxins that are within our body that we undergo every day. Stress, our body holds it, and it holds it in our cells, it holds it in our muscles, it holds it in whatever. And that's why we have the aches and the pains that we sometimes do, the headaches, things like that, because our body is holding it. And unless we release it, unless we get it out, unless we exercise and stretch those muscles. I tell my kids in the classroom as well, like one of the things on our safety plan, the classroom safety plan, is to stretch. And we do yoga every day so that we can get those feelings that are being harbored in our muscles and in our cells, we can release them and get them out. That's part of the healing process, is to release, but then also to receive. And the oils help to do that. But they don't do the work for us. They don't, like I said, yes, it did. The geranium did get me to a point where I could get out of bed and I could take a shower and I could go the next 30 minutes and then I could do, but like I was still feeling the sadness. I was still feeling the the abandonment of this person leaving my life very suddenly. And it didn't, like I said, it didn't get rid of them, but it was helping to process them, I feel, most definitely. I guess this is a little scenario from this book that talks about that, about how essential oils don't do our emotional work for us. It says that essential oils assist individuals in taking an honest look within. They foster the right environment for healing, but they will not do the work for us. And it uses this example, which I think is great. In gardening, it is a common experience to pull the weeds while leaving the roots. This is particularly true for hard and rocky soils. To ensure we uproot the whole plant, we can add water to the soil, which allows the entire weed to be removed. Similarly, essential oils prepare our emotional soil so that weeds may be removed with greater ease. However, they do not do the weeding for us. If one neglects to do the work of pulling their weeds, they have simply watered the problem. On the other hand, those who combine essential oils with emotional work reap the fruit of their labor. So again, like there were times when a couple of days after this whole situation, I would like pass by something in my home, and it would trigger a memory, one of those memories in my hippocampus and in my limbic system, like an old memory. That's something else that the limbic system holds, are long-term memories. And it would trigger that, and I would just be overcome with this sadness, like horrible sadness. And I would tell myself, I'm like, okay, this is going to pass. Like there were moments where it like took my breath away. And I would either put the geranium on, or bergamot is another really good oil for sadness and depression. And I would put this bergamot, like just even tipping the bottle over like this, putting it on my fingertip and rubbing it behind my ears. And I would still feel that sadness, but I would be like, okay, this is going to pass. Like this is going to pass, and I'm going to be okay in just a few minutes or 10 minutes, but I will be okay. Like it's not permanent. And I get through it. I would get through it. So yes, those are kind of like my stories about how essential oils has helped. My big thing right now, which I find very interesting, again, I will either in the morning time ask myself, okay, how am I feeling today? Every morning we do a class meeting in my classroom, and we ask everybody does a check-in of how are you feeling? And we have to say a feeling word. And so I kind of do that naturally now when I wake up in the morning. Okay, Sheila, how are you feeling this morning? And I would answer, myself, okay, well, I'm feeling kind of lonely today, or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, or I'm feeling scared of what the day holds, things like that. And then sometimes I may not do that check-in, and I may just go with, what do I feel like I need? Like, what oil do I feel like I need? Kind of like with the geranium whole situation. Ever since that happened, that was just, I don't know, that was kind of like a game changer for me. But I think, okay, what do I crave right now? Like, what am I craving? And lately, the last couple of days, I've been craving coriander and whisper. And these two oils, whisper, I think I may be craving a little bit because hormonally, it's a particular time or getting ready to be a particular time of the month. And the whisper is the blend for women. And this one was a game changer for me as well. I bought this when I first bought my first kit and got into the oils. And I bought it only because I loved the smell. And whisper is an oil that you put it on different people, and it will have a different scent to it based on the chemicals within your own body, which is really neat to me. But I loved the smell of it just by itself. But it also has decreased my cramping as well. And I don't know if that's really what it's for, but it has helped me with that, because that is awful. After children do amazing things to your body when you give birth. So anyway, side note. So yeah, I've been craving, and I think that's why I've kind of been craving the whisper, but also whisper emotionally helps with humility, kindness, softening things, acceptance of being feminine, teachable and adaptable. It's some of those negative emotions that it targets are anger and irritability. And I've noticed the last couple of days, like the kids in my class have really, I mean, it's been a rough couple of days for us. And I don't know if it's the shift of the moon or just the weather is always, I mean, you know, just a couple of days ago, we had snow and ice falling from the sky, and now it's going to be 70 degrees. So that could be a shift for us. It's springtime. Kids are kind of wild and crazy and fun, but it hasn't been the best on my nerves. So I found that to be interesting that's one of the oils that I had been craving was the whisper. I've also been craving the coriander, and coriander, like I said, like I showed you before, coriander is one that helps with boundaries and being true to yourself. And it's the one that was the game changer for me when I started into reading and using oils for emotions. Because my oil friend, she had one of those scanners, a Zyto, that scans your palm, the palm of your hand, and it tells you what oils your body needs for physical ailments or physical balance, and also emotional. And everyone that had been going before me, like I waited very, very patiently. I'm not one to like jump right in and do something. So I always have to stand back and look at a room and decide what's going to happen here before I decide to do anything. And so I was one of the last ones to have my palm scanned or read. And all these other people had like 7 to 10 different oils that their body was showing that they needed. And I get up there and I'm like, oh God, what's mine gonna say? Because I can only imagine. I had been going through quite a lot in my house, and at the time we were dealing with alcoholism and abusive situations, and not knowing entirely that it was alcohol or that it was that, thinking there may have been other mental things going on, mental issues. But so there was a lot going on. And my scan comes up and it says that I need one oil, just one. And it was coriander. And again, coriander is one that assists in a person when they're being controlled by others, self-betrayal, and not being true to themselves. So like the positive properties of this oil helps one to be true to their self, their inner guidance, and their integrity. And that is everything that I was lacking. I was very focused on trying to keep things level, keep things at peace, keep things stable. And like I don't know if anyone's ever had experience with an alcoholic, but your whole world, I mean, they're like a magnet for just everything, and they just drain everything, and or the alcohol itself and the behaviors caused by the alcohol do. And that I tell you, from that point on, I was taking this oil, I was putting it like this behind my ears every morning, dropping a couple drops in my hand with a squirt of my lotion and rubbing it, on my body. Like every day, it was like a routine regimen. And I, along with other things like therapy and things, of course, but I was able to get to a point where I could understand that what was going on in my life was not okay, and that something had to change, and it had to be me, because that's the only thing I had control over was me, and not the other person, and definitely not the alcohol. So I know that that helped bring about those feelings and those thoughts that I can move forward and I can move forward by myself, and it's not betrayal to anybody else. What I was doing was betraying myself and my needs and wants. Um, and that's how the oils help with emotions. Like that's how they work with them. They help release those things to a point where you can, or maybe they help stabilize things so that you can release them and do the work and get them out so that you can be more balanced. um, and yeah, that's what I've got. So I appreciate you joining. I am almost out of time. If you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to contact me. And I want to also throw in that I am doing a class tomorrow night at Mud Pie. I'm going to share my screen with you for that. Give me just a second. All right. Oh, there is that about the full Google form I was telling you about. And then where'd it go? There it is. So I have these 2 classes this Wednesday and next Wednesday at Mud Pie Coffee House. It's a vegan bakery. It's amazing. It's on 39th Street here in Kansas City. And I talk about the natural solutions for everyday life and how to start incorporating, oils more into your everyday life and replacing things that like medicines, over-the-counter medicines, like Tylenol and things like that. I haven't used any of that in I don't know how long, because I use peppermint now, or peppermint and peace is a really good favorite of mine to use for headaches because it calms me, but then that peppermint gets rid of that headache and other things. So yeah, I appreciate you coming and joining, and I hope you can take whatever you need to take from it and enjoy. Thank you.